Good evening. It's really loud, so I'm turning it down. I had a really interesting last few days and felt like the way that I handled it was productive and it might be helpful to other people. So, because it, I handled it, and sorry, my cat's here. It's late at night again. Just got home from working. Stop. Anyway, so I got disturbing news a couple of days ago concerning some of my tutoring clients. They've had a rough go when it comes to um, losing kids. And as a former teacher, teaching high school, I will say that the most people I've lost in my life have been former students. I've it's I don't know what it is about the town that I taught in. And it's not just me saying it. There's just been a lot of death of young people and former students of mine that are no longer here. And it's so Saturday night I heard about one of them, and then there'd been some interesting family things going on. And then Sunday night something happened with some of my tutoring clients, and it affected me more this time than it did in the past. And I wasn't sure why, but I was very aware that I couldn't, I work really hard to be the kind of to bring the right kind of energy and to be aware of what I bring to a situation, and to know if I have the capacity to handle it, the emotional capacity to handle a situation. And my presence was requested, so I just went there to be a body, to be if anybody needed me. And I was okay while I was there spending time with kids and families, and being there for whoever needed me. And I got home and I realized I was pissed, like mad, flaming mad. And I kind of unloaded on my parents, which was probably not appropriate. I didn't get mad at them, I didn't yell at them, but I unloaded my stuff on them. And I'm trying really hard to be um, aware of when I unload on people. And the other day I called my sister and I said, "Do you have the emotional capacity to deal with me today?" She said, "Yes, I do." I asked a friend today at work, "Do you have the? I don't know if I want to dump all over you." And he was like, "I'm here for it." So I'm trying to be conscious of when I do that. So I just kind of want to tell you my process. So I had a good conversation with my parents. It was productive. They both listened for the most part. I didn't. I will say that I think a lot of my anger is directed at them and not other people, because these situations I think are very triggering when it comes to what I believe to be important about what's good for kids. And to be honest, I'm frustrated with the way my parents dealt with things. Everybody is. That's not super abnormal. And so I sometimes have to wonder if my anger is directed at them. So I was super angry Monday night, and Tuesday just sucked. Like I was like, I just need to sleep. I slept for like 12 hours. I didn't want to do anything. Like the darkness, the video I talked about the darkness. It was very, very apparent that something I felt very, very heavy, and I felt like I'd been knocked back a few steps. So you move forward, and then something happens, and it knocks you back. And I felt like I did earlier this summer, where I felt really listless and I didn't want to do anything. And so I did the only thing that makes sense when I'm like that, and I meditated. And I was like, what I don't know what to do. And what I got from that was, what are you willing to do? And the only thing I was willing to do was work on stuff for the Live conference, which is I'm making a bunch of essential oil samples. So I was willing to sit for 2.5 hours and open up bags and just get stuff ready for that. So I did that, and then I went to tutor, and it was just hard. Like I just wasn't in a good place. I felt like I had to work really, really hard to not be mad. I did talk to some families, and it all went well. It was good everywhere I went. But then I came home Tuesday night. I still didn't feel great. I still felt kind of gross. I felt like eating, and that's the truth. And not I wasn't hungry. I felt like eating, like the way people feel like when they want to drink. I felt like so I have food stuff, so I felt like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to eat, which I know is not productive. So I didn't um, eat like that, like eat for fun, if you will, or eat for to soothe and to comfort. I went to bed early, than normal. I couldn't fall right asleep, but then I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning from a nightmare. And I laid there for a while and I kind of start to make deals with myself. I'm like, if I'm up too early, I was like, I can't go work out right now because it's too early. And then I have a Wednesdays are my really long day. And I knew that if I stayed up from 5 a.m. and I wasn't going to get home until 10, and I had to drive to campus, I had to teach my class, I had, to tutor, I had meetings, I had a lot of stuff today. And I knew that if I got up at 5, then the day was going to be terrible. So I gave myself a little bit of time and I plopped myself down in front of my altar and I meditated. And I asked, I was like, what am I supposed to do? Just, and it felt good. It was a good meditation. I don't know if I got answers, but I felt more at peace. It did tell me to grab one of my rocks. Lots of rocks. It's a blue lace agate. It's a really beautiful rock. And to see if I could fall asleep with it. So I grabbed my rock and I cuddled up with it. It's hard to cuddle with rocks, but I did. And I ended up going back to sleep for a little bit. And I set my alarm. I canceled, actually, I had tutoring scheduled. That's what it was. I had tutored a student in China at 7:30 in the morning on Wednesdays. And I texted him and I said, I can't. I was like, I can't do it today. And of course, they're always very understanding. I ended up going back to sleep. I ended up waking up before the alarm I had set. And I was like, I need to go work out. I need to go run. And so I put on my stuff and I went for a jog. And I came back and the last week of running had been a little hard and this one felt good. So I thought that was a win and got dressed and steadily each moment of the day things got better. I felt better. I showed up to campus. I talked to my friend. I was kind of concerned how I was going to work with my student teachers because I was in such a weird place and I was still a little frustrated and edgy and I really had to think about how much I wanted to share with them because I like to be transparent about why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So I chatted with a friend. He said the most loving things and it was so impressive to have interactions with people where you walk away feeling better about yourself and not worse. And that really helped. And then seeing my students and the conversation we had, I shared with them how I was feeling, but I didn't share too much because I thought that was inappropriate. I wanted, again, create boundaries. And then I after class, ended up seeing some former students, and that brought me joy. It always brings me joy. And had good chats with them. And then by then, I felt 100% better. I hadn't eaten yet. I didn't eat today until 2 o'clock. I had my celery juice, but I didn't eat until 2. And I was okay. I didn't feel super, super like deprived or whatnot. And I had a great meeting. Then I had a good meeting, and then all my tutoring went well today. I had good conversations with my students and clients. And then by the end of the day, all of the things that I was worried about and I was thinking about and I was anxious about had kind of eased. And to be 100% honest, that is the quickest turnaround I've ever experienced, ever, of whatever I was dealing with, whatever big emotions, whatever darkness, whatever we want to call it. It's the quickest turnaround I've ever experienced. Knock on wood. And I'm wondering if it's just because I did what I needed to do. I took care of myself. I meditated. I slept. I was very conscious about food. I was very aware that on Monday, was it Monday or Tuesday, one of my tutoring kids was like, what kind of food should I get? Should I get comfort food? And my honest response was, when your body's going through something hard, it needs nutrition. I was like, it needs vitamins, it needs minerals, it needs water. I mean, you've got to be able to get through this. And he kind of looked at me like, seriously, Jacqueline? I was like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, but you're right. And I was super conscious of that the last few days. And I was like, now is not the time to eat the fun foods or, food. I needed to feed my body. I need to take my supplements and I need to be drinking a lot of water. So I took that advice myself, even though I was all about the comfort food too at one point. And I was just so now sitting here. So it was Monday during the day. So it was Monday around noon when I got the news, and it is Wednesday evening. And what the news is pretty devastating. This wasn't a hiccup. This wasn't, you know, everybody deals with big things all day every day, but this was a fairly devastating blow. And for whatever reason, I used my tools, and it worked. It worked. The meditation, the trying to eat better. Again, I eat fairly well already, but being more conscious of it. The exercise, the the sharing with people, the pinpointing my emotion, because I was sad, but I was more mad than anything, and being able to express that anger in a healthy way, and not take it out on people, and be thoughtful of it. Because my friend today that I talked to on campus, he looked at me and he was like, this is you stuff. You can't control other people and what they do. You can only control yourself and what you bring. And I know that, like intellectually, I knew that. But hearing somebody say it in a way that was so kind and loving, um, I was able to go, I know, you're totally right. And it was just this series of things that happened, but things that I forced. I mean, I canceled tutoring to sleep and work out. I purposely avoided eating and going certain places for food. I made sure to pack my lunch. I made sure that I'm trying to drink more water. I didn't have coffee today. Um, I meditated and tried really hard to just be okay with the way I felt and not judge my feelings and not take it out on anybody else. And it worked. That doesn't mean I'm still not sad. That doesn't mean I'm still not frustrated. That doesn't mean I'm still not, reacting and responding to these things that have happened. But I pulled myself out of it quicker than and by pulling myself out, I mean it's like a valley that I sink into, and it just feels like there's just weight on top of me. Me and my sister did a video about the darkness, and it feels listless, and it feels like there's just nothing. There's nothing I want to do. There's nothing that feels good. There's nothing that feels right. And the one thing I think that really, really, really helped me, that I'm still learning and practicing, is this: what am I willing to do? And yesterday I didn't want to do anything. I got up, I slept, and I was like, I just want to do something that's going to um, make me feel better, which was I just wanted to lay around and watch TV, be 100% honest. And I asked myself, what are you willing to do? What kind of work are you willing to do? And the answer was work on the Live conference stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. But I still got stuff done. And so so I guess my reason for sharing all this is that if things get hard, there are tools, and these are the tools that I use. And if that helps you, then cool. I'm so glad that it does, because I was so amazed by halfway through the day how much better I felt. And it wasn't, sometimes we talk about like bipolar and manic and depressed shit. The depression episodes of depression. I'm sorry, I can't talk. I'm tired. And I wonder sometimes if it's just these swinging pendulums of mood and emotions. But I don't feel manic. I just feel better. I just don't feel as weighted down by the world. I don't feel as weighted down um, by the traumas that have happened. Like, I feel like I can function again. And I was really impressed on how quick I was able to kind of pull myself out of it. And again, there is some work we have to do as individuals. Depression is hard, anxiety is hard, mental illness, mental health is a big deal. But if you can get good at the tools and you practice the tools, it doesn't mean bad things are going to happen and that you're not going to experience them. But if you have tools on how to manage it, it makes things a little easier. And again, the key for me is just my goal is always to not take that out on other people. I kind of honestly probably took some of it out on my parents, but it's what we do, unfortunately. But they both did a really good job of setting their own boundaries and working with me, and it was a really good conversation for all of us. So the tools work if you use them, if you practice them. So I don't know if hopefully this is helpful to somebody that's having a rough day. It it works, and I'm always happy to talk about the things that have helped me because it's really remarkable. This was a really good example of a moment where yesterday I was like, "Oh, I'm back here. I thought I got past this, but it's back." And then I did what I needed to do, and it just gradually, gradually, gradually eased. Sleep, moving my body, meditating. I didn't do any. I did do no. I didn't do any writing. Talking to people that you trust, that you know that are going to give you what you need, um, and being reflective about what I bring to the table. So those are the 5 things I did. There's a giant list of things you could do, but that's what helped me. So hopefully this might help you too.